Good evening and greetings from the RAO'S Academy to all the aspirants of UPSC 2023. I am Aruna Mohan Rao, an IPS officer, 1987 batch, founder and director of RAO'S Academy for competitive exams, Bhopal and Indore. And to take you one step ahead in your preparation for the upcoming exam on May 28th, we have started a test series which consists of more than 22 tests, topical tests and also full length tests. You can join us even now. And we have already completed 2 tests in geography and 1 test in political science. And if you have seen my earlier video, I have discussed 50 questions of paper 1 of polity. And this video will be the rest of the 50 questions from 51 to 100. And I hope that the conceptual clarity that you need to face your polity questions will be a help with this particular video. So let me go forward and take you to the next question, that is the question number 51. The 51st question says, with reference to the Constituent Assembly of India, consider the following statements. Equal number of seats were allotted to each province and princely state irrespective of population, and the heads of princely states nominated the representatives of princely states. So if you consider the first statement that the allotment of seats was irrespective of population, this is not a correct option because it was based on the population of the particular area. 1 to 1 million was given 1 seat. So this is a wrong statement, but the heads of princely states nominated their representatives from the princely states. So this is a correct statement. So your correct option will be B. 2 only is the correct answer. Okay. So next we go to the next question. Consider the following statements. By the 35th Amendment Act of 1974, Sikkim was incorporated into the Indian Union as an associate state. By the 36th Amendment of 75, it assumed the full statehood and became the 22nd state of the Indian Union. And by 56th Amendment Act of 1987, Daman was formed as the 7th Union Territory of India. So the first option is correct. It was incorporated as an associate state by the 5th Amendment. It achieved full statehood by the amendment of the 36th Amendment Act. And the third statement is wrong because in 1961, Goa, Daman and Diu were included into the Indian Union as Union Territory. So this particular statement is wrong. So your option will be C, because here they are asking you which of the particular statements are not correct. I would advise all aspirants to, first of all, when you get questions like this, where consider the following statements, consider the following statements, and then read which of the following statements are correct or not correct. And then you go to the statements so that you will be having a clarity on when you are reading the options itself. The next question is, consider the following statements again. Here we are saying which of the following statements are correct. So we are going for the correct statement. 42nd Amendment Act of 76 attempted to reduce the power of the Supreme Court and the High Courts. It laid down the fundamental duties for citizens. It added the term socialist, secular, integrity to the preamble. This is quite an easy question. Yes, it did try to. We have to remember that the 42nd Amendment came during the emergency period. It was in 1976. It is called a mini constitution because there were so many changes that were envisaged in this particular amendment. There were 59 clauses in total. There were 59 clauses, that's why it is also called the mini constitution. It definitely curtailed the powers of the Supreme Court and the High Court. It tried to. And it also laid down fundamental duties for the citizen which are not justiciable in the court of law. And it added the term socialist, secular and integrity to the preamble. So your option will be D. All the above are correct. We go to the next question, 54. Consider the following statements about the last and the 12th session of the Constituent Assembly on 24 January 1950. National anthem was adopted on this day. National song was adopted on this day. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the first president of India on this day. So there may be some confusion, but you have to be very careful about how you analyze or understand this question. So the national anthem, originally composed in Bengali by Rabindranath Tagore, it runs for 52 seconds and it was first publicly sung on 27th of December 1911 at the Calcutta session of the Indian National Congress. But the national anthem was definitely adopted on the 24th of January 1950 when the Constituent Assembly met for the last time. The national song, it was written by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee in the 1870s, and the first two verses of this poem were taken as the national song of India. In October 1937, it was adopted by the Congress, but the national song was adopted on this particular day, that is 24th January 1950. And this is also a correct statement. So for the question number 54, your answer will be all are correct. That will be your option B. We go to the next question. Consider the following statements. It's regarded as the preamble serves as a channelizing tool for the interpretation of the Constitution as a whole. The preamble acts as the preface to the Constitution of India and lays down the philosophical ideas. It represents the entire Constitution in its written word. So yes, the preamble is regarded as the introduction, or it brings out all the philosophy that is there within a constitution in a short, concise form. It brings out all the philosophical ideas that the constitution makers had in mind. So all the three statements are correct here. All the three statements are absolutely right. Next question. With reference to the national emergency, consider the following statements. Once declared, the polity becomes unitary without any formal amendment. The state governments in the states continue to function without being dismissed, and the president can issue an ordinance on the state subjects. So when there is a national emergency, it means that there is some emergency, some issue that is bothering the country. So the government becomes unitary in nature. Though the state governments are not dismissed, they continue, but the functioning of the government changes. So all the three statements are correct here. The option will be D. During a national emergency, we will have all these particular. Next question. Which of the following statements are correct with respect to fundamental duties? Fundamental rights and fundamental duties always figure in your examination. So be very thorough with both the subjects under the Constitution. The first option is the duties are addressed to the citizens without any legal sanction. The second is they provide a guide to the interpretation of the Constitution and legal issues, and the laws of Parliament can enforce them. So here we see that the duties are addressed to the citizen without any legal sanction. Yes, fundamental rights are justiciable, but fundamental duties are not. They provide a guide to the interpretation of the Constitution on legal matters. Yes, all legal matters can be interpreted in them. The laws of Parliament can enforce them. Fundamental duties may not be justiciable in the court of law, but according to fundamental duties, there can be laws made for implementation. And in the 1983 case, where the AIMS students versus the Union case, in this the Supreme Court very clearly said that fundamental duties are a valuable guide to the interpretation of constitutional and legal matters. So your option D is the correct option for this particular question. So we go to the next question. The Code on Wages 2019 aims at achieving the goals envisaged under Directive Principles of State Policy, Preamble, and Fundamental Rights. So the Code on Wages 2019, this was to secure to all workers equal pay for equal work, dignity of labor, very good conditions of work, then children below a particular age should not be engaged in any hazardous occupation, and then this is actually in line with the right to equality. So this act says it is definitely going to cater to all the three particular options. These are all the right options. So your D will be the correct answer. We go to the next question, 59. Which of the following statements with reference to provisions introduced by the 91st Constitutional Amendment Act is correct? 91st Constitutional Amendment Act of 2003. It limited the size of Council of Ministers both at the central and the state level. It disqualified members after defection to hold any official remunerative position. It specified a period for deciding on disqualification plea by the presiding officer, and it restricted the issuance of a whip for voting on no confidence motion. So here, this is the correct answer. This is the correct option. It limited the size of the Council of Ministers of the central and the state level to 15% of the total membership of a particular house. And also it said that any Council of Ministers should not be less than 12 members. So this is your correct option. Here it disqualified members to hold any official remunerative position, but they could hold offices in a private position, and these two are also the wrong options. So your option A will be the correct answer. So we go to the next question. Consider the following statement with respect to the Constitution of India. The political part of the Constitution has been derived from the Government of India Act 1935. The philosophical part of the Constitution has been largely derived from the British Constitution, and the structural part of the Constitution has been largely drawn from the American and the Irish Constitution. So these have been all jumbled up. You need to put it together. So your answer will be the political part. The political parts comes from the British Constitution. The philosophical part, like your fundamental rights and your they come from the US and the Irish Constitution, and the structural part comes from the Government of India Act 1935. So all three options are wrong. So none of the above will be your option in this question. Then we come to the next. Which of the following amounts to a violation of fundamental duties enshrined in the Constitution? Which are the duties which are not mentioned in the list of fundamental duties in our Constitution? So the 42nd Amendment brought about 10 fundamental duties, and then we had the 86th Amendment in 2002, which brought in the 11th fundamental duty. So the fundamental duties, please go through all of them. Non-casting of vote, non-payment of taxes, these are not fundamental duties. Trade in rare and endangered species, yes. And also not respecting the dignity of women, yes. These two are mentioned as the options of as the fundamental duties of every citizen of the country. So you have option 3 and 4, yes. This is your option C. So C will be your answer for this particular question. We go to the next. Consider the following statements with respect to the Citizenship Amendment Act of 2019. Very important act. It brought about a lot of changes. So you need to be very thorough with all the dates and all the provisions of this particular act. All legal proceedings against illegal immigrants concerning their illegal migration will be closed on acquiring citizenship. The period of naturalization for persons requiring citizenship has been reduced to 5 years, and the provisions on citizenship for illegal migrants will not apply to the tribal areas of the 6th schedule. So here, all illegal proceedings against illegal migrants coming, so the provisions of this particular act says that people coming from the Hindus, Sikh, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis and Christians from Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan, they will not be treated as illegal immigrants, and they will be given citizenship, and once the citizenship is given, their cases will be closed. The period of naturalization for such persons has been reduced from 11 to 5 years, and the provision of citizenship for illegal migrants will not apply to the tribal areas of the 6th schedule. Yes, that is also a true statement. So your option will be D for this particular question. We go to the next. With reference to the evolution of the Constitution as it was evolving, consider the following statements. It has been greatly influenced by the events that occurred both under the rule of the East India Company and the British Crown. It strikes a delicate balance between flexibility of the British Constitution and rigidity of the American Constitution. Yes, after the East India Company came into India, there were so many acts, right from the Regulating Act up to the Government of India Act 1935 and then 1947. So many changes have occurred in the forming of the Indian nation, the forming of the Indian Constitution, and every activity that went on during this time has influenced us in some way or the other. It also strikes a delicate balance between rigidity and flexibility. There are many articles in the Constitution which can be amended by a simple majority, and there are some which need a special majority. So it is a mix of rigidity and flexibility. So we have the answer as both correct, that is your C. That is the answer to this question. Consider the following statements with reference to non-resident Indians and overseas citizens of India. There are two particular types of citizens: NRIs, non-resident Indians, and overseas citizens of India. So they are asking us for some clarification here. While an NRI can acquire agricultural or plantation properties, an OCI cannot do the same. An NRI has a preference over an OCI in inter-country adoption of Indian children. So this is the correct answer. NRIs can acquire agricultural land, whereas an OCI, overseas citizen of India, cannot. But an OCI also has some advantages, like he can enter India any number of times, he can have a PAN card, he can be registered, if he is registered as an OCI for 5 years, he can apply for citizenship, but he cannot buy farmland, he can buy non-farm land. So this is the correct statement. And an NRI has a preference over OCI on inter-country adoption. No, both are the same where adoption is concerned. So this is a wrong statement. So you will have the option as A. One only is correct. We go to the next question. With reference to cultural and educational rights, again very important, cultural and education rights are also important from your examination perspective. Consider the following statements. Which of the statements are correct? Under the Constitution, only minorities have the right to conserve their distinct language and culture. All citizens have the right to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice. This again has been jumbled up. So you have the option of, under the Constitution, all citizens, not only minorities, it says all citizens have the right to maintain their distinct language and culture, Article 29. And this is Article 30, which says religious and linguistic minorities have the right to establish and administer educational institutions and of their choice. So here both the statements are wrong. You have the option of D, which says both statements are wrong. Consider the following statements, following ideals mentioned in the preamble to the Indian and the US Constitution respectively. So here there is a comparison between the preamble to the American Constitution and the Indian Constitution. The first statement says, each preamble begins by stating we the people, which indicates that the origins of all the authority to administer are the citizens of these countries itself, which is a true statement. Indian Constitution preamble also starts with we the people solemnly resolved to. And in the preamble to the Constitution of the United States, there is a declaration for the organization of the Union, which is not defined in the preamble to the Indian Constitution, which is also a correct statement. In the preamble, we do not have any declaration of whether we are going to be a union, whether we are going to be a federation, whether we are going to be a unitary system or any other pattern. Both the preambles do not summon any specific god, which implies that the citizens have full liberty to observe any religion, which is also a true statement. Indian preamble does not mention any religion. So all the three statements are correct. So your option will be D. That will be your correct option. So we go to question number 67. Which of the following best describes the term presumption of constitutionality? Presumption of constitutionality. It is a legal principle that is used by courts during the statutory interpretation of laws made by the Parliament. It is a moral presumption kept in mind by the legislature while framing laws for governance. It's a presumption that the presence of a constitution automatically facilitates constitutionalism, and it is a legal presumption that the executive that guides its action in the public domain. So these are the four options that have been given to the which describes the presumption of constitutionality. So here the answer is A. This is a legal principle to A is the correct answer. It is a presumption of constitution. It's a legal principle used by courts for statutory interpretation of laws made by either the parliament or the state legislatures. The next question is, which of the following is not a fundamental duty enshrined in the Indian Constitution? There have been to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India, to exercise universal adult franchise at the time of general elections, to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture, and to develop the scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform. So you have here B is the option, to exercise universal adult franchise. This is not a fundamental duty, not mentioned in the Constitution, but it is that intrinsic right that a citizen of the country uses to elect his own representatives either to the parliament or to the state legislatures. So it is not a fundamental duty enshrined in the Indian Constitution, while the others are. So we come to the next one. Which of the following provisions of the Constitution did not come into effect on 26th November 1949? We know that the Constitution was adopted in 1950. So the process of the constitutional, all the articles and sections of the Constitution were slowly being implemented. So by 26th of November 1949, we had citizenship, we had elections, we had provincial parliament, but we did not have fundamental rights, which came into effect in 1950. I think we missed one. Which option is true with respect to the directive principles of state policy? Again, we are talking about directive principles. As you know, fundamental rights and directive principles are two very, very important topics for the UPSC. Always in every question, every year you have questions on both these topics. So which option is true with respect to directive principles of state policy? Public welfare is inspired by the spirit of the state. It is mentioned in part 4 of the Constitution. It is not enforceable in court, and all the above statements are correct. So here, yes, public welfare, you have economic, social and welfare enshrined in the directive principles of state policy. It is mentioned in part 4 of the Constitution. It's not enforceable in the courts, and so all the above statements are correct. Your option will be D. The denial of bail violates constitutional right provided under which article of the Indian Constitution? So when a person is arrested, he applies for bail and he is given bail or he is not given bail. So this is Article 21. As you know, Article 21 is protection of life and personal property. Article 20, personal liberty. Article 39 and 39A relate to the equitable distribution of wealth. So here the answer will be none of the above. The denial of bail is a judicial process. It is for the courts to decide whether they give bail to a person or not. It has nothing to do with the articles provided and the constitutional rights provided under the Constitution. We come to the next question, 72. With reference to the Constituent Assembly, consider the following statements. The Constituent Assembly, the process of the drafting of the Constitution are again very important from your examination point of view. The Constituent Assembly was chosen on the basis of reserved electorates. Representatives from princely states were nominated by Praja Mandals or elected houses of the princely states. Constituent Assembly members were chosen indirectly by the members of the Provincial Assembly. So here the Constituent Assembly was chosen on the basis of reserved electorates. This is not a correct statement. Representatives from princely states were nominated by Praja Mandals. No, they were nominated by the princely states themselves. And constituent members were chosen indirectly by members of the Provincial Council. Here says which statement is correct. So this is your correct statement. Only statement 3 is correct. So your option will be C. Option C is your correct answer. In the context of the preamble, consider the following statements. Again, here we come to the preamble. Preamble is part of the Constitution. It was adopted together with the remaining Constitution. It cannot be a source of power, but can be a limitation on the power of the government, and it can be amended by the parliament. So here we have, it is a part of the constitution and it can be amended by parliament. These two statements you can consider. Preamble was adopted together with the remaining constitution. No, it was adopted later. It cannot be a source of power, but can be limitation on the power of the government. No, this is also not a correct statement. So you have 1 and 4 as the correct option. So your answer will be A. Be very careful when you read the preamble, because generally you have a question on the preamble to the constitution. There are very small nuances which you need to know when you're reading the preamble, because you will have very jumbled up questions which you need to be very, your concept of the preamble has to be very clear. In the context of citizenship, consider the following statements. When an Indian citizen voluntarily acquires citizenship of any other nation, it results in compulsory termination of citizenship by the central government. Showing disloyalty to the Constitution of India results in automatic termination of Indian citizenship. In case of fraud, central government may or may not terminate the citizenship of such a person. So read the statements carefully. Try to understand what the examiner is trying to ask you. So here, when an Indian citizen voluntarily he acquires the citizenship of some other country. He has taken the citizenship of some other country. It results in automatic termination. Here is automatic termination of his citizenship. Showing disloyalty of the constitution results in compulsory termination. Here it is compulsory termination. And in case of fraud, the central government may or may not, no, it is not may or may not, it has to be terminated. In case of fraud, it has to be mandatorily terminated, terminate the citizenship of such a person. So you have, all the statements are wrong. So you have none of the above. That will be your answer. D will be your answer. All the 3 statements are wrong. Consider the following statements. The 7th schedule enumerates provisions relating to the flag. 7th schedule enumerates provisions relating to the flag. The Flag Code of India 2004 does not impose prohibitions on the flag. What does the 7th schedule say? The 7th schedule of our constitution is the allocation of powers and functions between the central and the state government. It is not, nothing to do with the flag. And the Flag Code of India Act is of 2002, not 2004. So it does not. So both the statements here are wrong. So your option will be neither 1 or 2. The next question. With reference to Indian Gaganyaan mission, consider the following statement. As I said, every topical paper will also consist of a few current affairs questions. So here we have the first one, relating to Gaganyaan mission. Again, the Indian space research and Indian space development are a very important subject for your UPSC prelims. With reference to Indian Gaganyaan mission, consider the following. It aims to send a 3-member Indian crew to space for a period of 10 days and safely return them to Earth. Yes, 3-member will go, but this is only for 7 days. PSLV XL rocket will be used to launch Gaganyaan as it has the necessary payload capacity. Here we have to see that it is going to be launched by the GSLV Mk3. GSLV Mk3. This will be the rocket which will have the necessary payload capacity to launch the Gaganyaan mission. Okay, you got that? So now we go to the next question. Consider the following pairs. Enforcing Contract Portal, Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. Saral Sanchar Portal, Department of Telecommunications. Which of the pairs is correctly matched? So Enforcing Contracts Portal is the Department of Justice and Law. It is a source of information to anybody who goes into that portal. They will have a lot of information about the contracts and the contracts portal. And Saral Sanchar is the by the Telecommunication Department, again a web-based portal which will be useful for people who are applying for licenses and certification. all the information relating to licenses and certification will be available on this particular portal. So here only 2 is correct. Your answer will be B. Your answer will be B. The term intended nationally determined contributions is sometimes seen in the news in the context of pledges made by European countries to rehabilitate refugees from the war-affected Middle East, plan of action outlined by the countries of the world to combat climate change, capital contributed by the member countries in the establishment of Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, and plan of action outlined by the countries of the world regarding sustainable development goals. These are questions which will need that you know the answer, particularly you know the answer, because here you may go wrong in elimination because the options are so different. So unless you know the correct answer, you will not be able to answer such questions. So your current affairs should be, your preparation for current affairs should be thorough for you to be able to answer such kind of questions. Because once you get a wrong answer, you know that there is negative marking for the UPSC Prelims examination. So here, if you know the answer, it is B. This is related to the sustainable goals that the countries have set for themselves regarding climate change. So during the December 2015, countries adopted the historic framework for Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC. You must have read about it, Conference of Parties, which was held in Paris, COP21. So many of these countries, they have set for themselves nationally determined contributions towards climate change. Each country has set their own goals, and India is also setting its own goals for contributing towards climate change. So now we come to the next question. Consider the following statements regarding flexible fuel vehicles. Flexible fuel vehicles. They have an internal combustion system. Basically, these vehicles are going to be helping in lessening the pollution levels that are being emanated by the vehicles. So this is the correct answer. FFVs are capable of operating on gasoline or any blend of gasoline and ethanol up to 20%. This is up to 85%. So this particular option will be wrong. And FFVs contribute fewer greenhouse gases than traditional gasoline run vehicles, which is again a true statement. So you have 1 and 3 as the option. So your option will be B. B will be your correct option. Which among the following is often recognized as genetic express highway linking two biodiversity hotspots in the country, that is Eastern Himalayas and Western Ghats. Eastern Himalayas and Western Ghats. What is the biosphere, which is biodiversity hotspot, which is connecting the two? This again is a current affairs question, so you need to know the answer to be able to correctly answer it. So the answer is Pachmadi Biosphere Reserve. It's a confluence of northern and southern type of vegetation. Consider the following statements about Archaeological Survey of India. You keep hearing about the Archaeological Survey of India, the new discoveries that they make. So the option says it is an Indian government agency attached to the Ministry of Mines. Yes, it is an Indian government agency, but it is not in the Ministry of Mines. It is in the Ministry of Culture. This basically is an agency which is going to preserve and conserve the rich heritage of our country. It was founded in 1861 by Alexander Cunningham, who also became its first Director General. This you must have heard. So this is a correct statement. So here you have the option of B, that is 2 only is correct. The first statement is wrong. The next one. Consider the following statement about Jan Shiksha Sansthan. The Jan Shiksha Sansthan, it aims to train over 40 crore people in India in different skills by 2025. It is implemented through NGOs with 100% grants from the government of India. Yes, it used to be called the Shramik Vidyapeeth. Earlier it used to be called the Shramik Vidyapeeth, and its aim is for skill development in rural areas. And from 1967 it has been working through the NGOs. So this statement is correct. So your option will be 2 only. B is your correct option. The terms Oslo I and Oslo II Accords are sometimes mentioned in the news in the context of the affairs of which of the following countries? China and Tibet, Eritrea and Ethiopia, Israel and Palestine, India and Pakistan. Oslo I and Oslo II. These are a series of records which were signed in 1990s between Israel and Palestine. You know that there is a rift or a lot of issues relating to between Israel and Pakistan, Israel and Palestine. So this Oslo I and Oslo II agreements are between Israel and Palestine. Oslo I was signed in 1993. It was formerly known as the Declaration of Principles, and Oslo II officially called the Israel-Palestine Interim Agreement on the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. So these are Oslo I and II will be related to Israel and Palestine issue. Consider the following statement. Vande Bharat trains are self-propelled engineless train sets. It is designed to be capable of running at a maximum speed of 200 miles per hour. Yes, they are self-propelled engine trains like the bullet train or the metro trains. These trains are self-propelled engineless trains, but they run at a speed of about 160 kilometers and not 200. So this statement will be wrong. One only will be your answer, that is option 1. Your option 1 is the correct answer. Consider the following statements regarding e-rupee. E-rupee is India's first digital currency. It has been developed by the National Payments Corporation of India. So here, this is the correct statement. The first one is the correct statement. It has been developed by, but e-rupee is a cashless and a contactless digital payment medium. It is not a currency. It is a medium through which payments are made. So it is like a prepaid gift voucher. It is not currency. Though this statement will be wrong. So here you will have option B. Only 2 is correct. Next, consider the following statements regarding the newly launched Academic Bank of India. Academic Bank of India. It's one of the initiatives under the new National Education Policy. Very beneficial to the students. Academic Bank of Credit is envisaged as a digital bank that holds the credit earned by a student in any course. So the student will keep on earning credits. It enables students to select the courses to suit their aptitude and to tailor their degrees rather than undergoing the regularly prescribed degree or courses of a single university. It gives the student a choice to choose whichever course the particular student wants to take up. And it has multi-exit and multi-entry options that will help students who have to take a break from the education for either financial or other resources. A student cannot immediately enroll, so it gives you that leverage to take up the course whenever you are financially or otherwise more comfortable. So all the 3 options in this are correct. This is the new initiative of the government by the National Education Policy. They have introduced the Academic Bank of Credit for the benefit of students. So all the 3 options are correct. D will be your correct answer. Next, consider the following statement. India stands in the top 5 position in the world in terms of installed renewable energy capacity. Yes, this is the correct statement. India is 4th at the present in the world in terms of installed renewable energy capacity. India has set a target of generating 450 gigawatts of solar energy by 2030. This is a wrong statement. This is not solar energy. This is renewable energy. India has set a target of 450 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2030. So here your option will be 1 only. A will be the option which is correct. Okay, we go to the next question, number 88. Consider the following statements regarding power. Power is promoting opportunities for women in exploratory research program. Promoting the participation of women in research. It's a scheme to mitigate gender disparity in science and tech engineering research funding in various science and tech programs in Indian academic institutions and R&D labs. This seems to be correct, absolutely correct. It was launched by the Union Ministry of Women and Child Development. This you need to know whether it was the Women and Child Department or any other department. So here the answer is the Department of Science and Technology was the one which has launched this particular program called power. So this statement is wrong. So here you have A, 1 only is the correct statement. That will be your answer. Okay. Consider the following statements regarding National Monetization Pipeline, NMP, National Monetization Pipeline. It aims to unlock value in the identified infrastructure projects by engaging the private sector and transferring to them revenue rights in the project. The identified infrastructure projects include both greenfield and brownfield projects. The ownership rights in the projects are not transferred to the private parties. Yes, the national monetization policy is aimed at improving, increasing and developing, enhancing the infrastructure facilities in our country. So it aims to unlock value in the identified in the private sector and transferring them revenue rights in the project. The identified infrastructure will be in greenfield and brownfield projects. Greenfield projects and brownfield projects, you need to know what is the meaning of both the projects. Greenfield projects are those projects which will be starting from ground zero. There is nothing, and you in a particular land you start the infrastructure from the ground level. But brownfields are where there's already some sick unit or some unit which has closed down, which already has some infrastructure facilities. So you go there, you give that project to somebody who will start from not zero, but maybe from 20%, 30%, 50%, 60%, which is already there, and they have to cover up the rest of the, they have to fill up the rest of the gaps. So this is the, and these national monetization policy is only for brownfield projects and not for greenfield projects. Greenfield projects have not been included in this particular. So this statement is correct. This statement is correct. They are not, ownership is not going to be transferred, only revenue rights are going to be transferred, where the companies will go and work on these projects. So this is a wrong statement, and these two others. So 1 and 3 is your option. So this will be your correct option, will be C. So we go to the next one. Consider the following statements regarding machine-to-machine communications. Machine-to-machine communications. Again, you need to understand what is, and here which of the statements are incorrect. So please be careful. As I said before, read the first and read this, and then go to the statements that are being shown. Machine-to-machine communication refers to automated applications which involve machines or devices communicating through a network without human intervention. The statement itself makes a lot of sense, so it is a correct statement. It enables data to be transferred from one device to another device through wired and wireless communication networks. This also makes sense. This is also a correct statement. So when both are correct statement and they are asking you which is incorrect, your option will be D, neither 1 or 2. Prime editing, sometimes seen in the news, is related to, this again is a current affairs question. You need to know the answer to really be able to, because you cannot eliminate these because they are all different options. So here the answer is genome editing technology. This is called prime editing. So where they are genome sequences and sequencing and technology related to genome editing is called prime editing. So your answer will be B. 5G technology. Now you know that 5G is already launched in India, and 5G technology is the latest thing. So 5G of 5th generation is the latest upgrade in the long-term evolution. You see on your phone which says LTE, that is long-term evolution mobile broadband networks. Okay, it works only in high frequency spectrum 5G. No, it works in low, medium and high frequency spectrum. And 5G is said to be as much as 100 times faster than 4G. That is what is the claim. So that is also a correct statement. So your 1 and 3 statements are correct, because they are asking you which are the correct statement. 1 and 3 statements are correct and 2 is wrong. So D will be your option for the correct answer. Consider the following statements regarding the Budapest Convention. The Budapest Convention, again an important convention for you to know, because crime and cyber crime is one of the important topics of your prelims examination. It is the first international treaty seeking to address internet and computer crime by harmonizing national laws and increasing cooperation among nations, which is a true statement. It is drawn up by the UN Security Council. You need to know this answer before you can attempt this question, because it was not drawn up by the United Nations Security Council. It was drawn up by the Council of Europe in Strasbourg, France, with participation of Council of Europe observer states like the US, Japan, Canada, and South Africa. So this is a wrong statement. It was drawn up by the Council of Europe, and India did not participate in the negotiations. So India is still not a India is a signatory to the convention. India is not a signatory to the convention. So only your option 1 is correct. You will have to choose option A. Okay. Consider the following statements about sovereign gold bond scheme. The gold bonds are issued by designated banks on behalf of the government. No, they are issued by the RBI on behalf of the government. They denominated in denominations of 10 grams of gold and in multiples thereof. No, they are denominated in multiples of gold with a basic unit of 1 gram. 1 gram, not 10 grams. Okay. So your answer will be, both are incorrect. Your answer will be D, neither 1 or 2. Consider the following statements about ASTROSAT mission. ASTROSAT mission. It is a solar coronagraph mission of ISRO. It was launched aboard PSLV C-11. These are your 2 options. Again, you have to be careful when you answer such questions. It is India's first multi-wavelength space telescope. ASTROSAT is a telescope, and 38 centimeter while ultraviolet imaging telescope is launched. It was launched by PSLV 15. So both your statements are wrong. Your option will be D. The Deepar Beel Wildlife Sanctuary was in news recently. It was located in, again, your sanctuaries, your biospheres, your hotspots, your Ramsar sites. These are all very, very important topics. So you need to know the exact knowledge about all these concepts. So the Deepar Beel Wildlife Sanctuary is in Assam. It is in Assam. So your option A is correct. The term Gauthans, sometimes mentioned in the news recently, is related to Gauthans. You must have read in the news that it is being, it's a concept which is being adopted by one particular government. So traditional water conservation method, sustainable agriculture practice, waste water treatment, or integrated model for preventing stubble burning. If you have read the news, you will go directly to the answer as D. This has been adopted by the Chhattisgarh government. A dedicated 5-acre land is being kept apart for this particular purpose in each village, and all the stubble is collected from all parts of the village. Parali Dan, they call it Parali Dan, where people's donations are, they contribute towards gathering all the stubble, and then it is converted into organic fertilizer by using cow dung and a few natural enzymes. So this is not only creating a lot of goodwill, but it is also creating a lot of employment opportunities. And now the government has I think established more than 2,000 Gauthans in the rural areas of Chhattisgarh. So your answer will be D. With reference to LIDAR technology, consider the following statements. LIDAR technology. It is based on the use of radio waves. It can be used to make digital 3D representations of areas of the Earth's surface and ocean bottom. It can help determine where to apply costly fertilizers. So here you have the option of, it is based on the use of radio waves. It is not based on the use of radio waves. It is a remote sensing method. Remote sensing. So when you are remotely sensing, you can make 3D and you can also apply but lasers where necessary, because with the 3D you can have a clear picture of the whole scene or structure of which you are aiming at. So here it is going to be your 2 and 3 will be your options, because 1 is the wrong answer. So B will be your option to do this question. Consider the following statements about the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. The government has, state governments and the central government are launching a lot of schemes. So again, governmental schemes are a very important part of your preparation for the preliminary exam, because you will have some questions on the important schemes that are being implemented for various sections of the society in our country. It is the largest health assurance scheme in the world. It is the largest health assurance scheme in the world. It provides a health cover of 5 lakhs per family per year for secondary and tertiary care hospitalization. It is fully funded by the government and cost of implementation is shared by the central and the state governments. All the statements are correct. It has a reach of 10.74 crore people, and approximately 50 crore beneficiaries are going to benefit from this particular scheme of getting secondary and tertiary care hospitalization help, 5 lakhs per family. So generally questions relating to schemes will say who are the beneficiaries, what is the limit of the government support, and what is the aim of the project, who are the beneficiaries of the project. These kind of questions will be asked in the where schemes are concerned. With reference to UPI or Unified Payments Interface, which of the following statements are correct? All of you must be knowing about the developments in the payments payments front. It is an instant, and there are lots of changes, a very, very dynamic field, lot of changes continuously happening in this particular field. It is an instant payment system developed by the National Payments Corporation of India, an RBI regulated entity. It is built over the National Electronic Funds Transfer Infrastructure. At present, the upper limit per UPI transaction is 1 lakh. So here you need to know the nuances of this particular question. It is an instant payment system developed. Yes, it is an instant payment system. It is built over the NEFT system, that is the National Electronic Fund Transfer. No, it is built on the IMPS system, immediate payments system, not National Electronic Fund Transfer system, which takes a little time. This is immediate transfer of money. At present, the upper limit is 1 lakh. This is again a correct statement. So you have B as the wrong statement. You have 1 and 3. So your option will be 3. That is C. 1 and 3 only. These are the correct options. So this was the last 51 to 100 questions of our Polity paper 2, Polity paper 1. So we will be commencing our Polity paper 2 answer discussion shortly. I hope that you will all join us for that discussion as well. And we at RAO'S Academy, we have a number of programs, and the latest coming up is Gati, which is going to be UPSC crash course starting from March 15th, and we'll have the best faculty from all over the country coming and giving you very crisp, concise and precise coverage of the syllabus. They will be discussing previous year's questions, and they will also be giving you a sample questions of what may appear for the examination in 2023. So join us. We have a lot of social media handles on in Instagram, we are on Facebook, we are on Telegram, and we are on YouTube. So do join us to get the latest information, your current affairs, your daily news reviews, and everything related to your UPSC preparation. We are there to help you. Do call us on the numbers that are being shown on the screen, and we are always there to help you out in your preparation. So all the best, and best wishes for your examination. Thank you so much.